So, so since Brad asked about Dealers Hall, it's be a good time to explain like the rest of the show. So we mentioned that there are events like True Dungeon. Now those do not occur in the Dealers Hall. Those occur in their own little area someplace else, which means that they are free to operate from the opening moment of GenCon, which I always thought was 10 a.m. on Thursday, but we've signed up for an event at 8 a.m. on Thursday, so apparently it is earlier than that. And this will be a learning experience for all of us. And an exercise in if we can get up early enough.
I have faith in us.
I have less faith because I have taken a while to get up. So
I have 100% confidence in myself, just so y'all know. If we're late, it'll be because they're late.
I have confidence in these two. So he's never late. Meanwhile, I was like 3 hours late to work today, so you know
That's factually accurate.
And that hardly ever happens. Just for crystal clarity, like if I'm late, it's like 5-10 minutes. It's not like this was an extreme situation. But anyway, so those events are going to be taking place in Lucas Oil Stadium. There are
Lucas Oil Stadium is where the Indianapolis Colts play football. By the way, that is a
yes,
by golly, proper NFL football stadium, one of the best in the league, in the country.
retractable roof too.
Retractable roof, it's beautiful.
And for Gen Con, they cover up the turf.
Yeah, some of the
and
games.
you can get down on the field, and there's events held on the field.
Yeah, some of the events, like Chad said, are actually down on the field. Now, True Dungeon isn't
No.
because of all the setup. It's in one of like the back rooms where I think like one of the home or away team goes. But there's a bunch of conference rooms in the stadium as well. They're used. It's connected to the Indianapolis Convention Center via an underground tunnel. You can also just walk if you feel like going outside for God only knows what reason.
It is
Yes,
just right across
yes.
the street, yeah?
Yeah, it's right across the street, and the street that's connecting it is closed to traffic, I believe.
And there's parking right on the south side of
It's not
Lucas Oil.
always closed for traffic.
That's right. There's a parking lot right there, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, because obviously we've gone outside there in case it's not apparent here. I actually took a tour of that place before they put the first game in there.
Nice.
It was 1 year at Gen Con that Chris had gotten tickets and we got to go down the field without it covered.
You,
up.
with all your sports love, didn't just show up to take a
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised I wasn't sweating blue and white
random
while I was down
Thursday
there.
in
Yeah.
September and just show up to Indianapolis to
Yeah. Surprising, I know, but
you and Blue taking the tour and Mr. Ursay.
yeah. So anyway, and then of course, as we mentioned earlier, the conference rooms and a lot of the connected hotels are also used. Now, and then the convention center itself has numerous other rooms that are not the dealer's hall. In fact, the dealer's hall, I don't have a picture here, but imagine a gigantic rectangle, essentially. It's not quite a rectangle because of the way one of the walls is, but essentially it's a giant rectangle.
It's kind of L-shaped.
Yeah. So at one end, though, it connects to another giant hall. Now, while they're both open, they're open between them. The other one is where gaming occurs, I believe, up till midnight or 1, and it remains open, and they just seal off access to the dealer's hall while that's going on.
If you show up and want to play Boards of Waterdeep at 1 o'clock in the morning, there might be a game going on.
Yes.
There could be. Now,
Right.
This is another important distinction. Again, all that is like ticketed stuff. There's a whole like con culture that goes on here. There are all kinds of games that are not ticketed events. They're literally just people sitting around playing pickup games. They'll be sitting in the hallways of the convention center, the
Hallways of the hotels.
hallways of the hotels.
So you're just walking down the hallway and someone's like, "Hey, we need a fourth. Are you busy?
Yeah,
You want to be a rogue?
yeah,
Or someone who
We need
bought
a cleric."
a brand new board game
yeah.
says they'll play 4 players in 2 hours. They want to test it right then and there, and they only have 2 people in their group. So find 2 more people, have a seat, play the game.
Pretty
What
much.
a country.
Yeah, you've got that, like I said, happening all over the convention center because other than last year, where they closed the convention center at a certain hour to do deep cleaning because of the situation we've all found ourselves in, This year, I don't believe they're doing that. I believe they have abandoned that idea because they've realized that surface transmission doesn't happen, as near as I can tell. I'm not a doctor. Do not take that as any kind of medical advice in any way, shape, or form.
I played doctor a couple times when I was young.
So,
I've watched shows with doctors in them.
okay. All right. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. That's the only thing I got for that. So we're not going to claim to be a doctor. But as near as I can tell, they're not going to this year. Which what that means is the convention center is open from the start of events on Thursday to 4 p.m. on Sunday for just stuff. So like you could at 3 in the morning stagger in there as long as you know which doors are open, and probably find a pickup game. Probably going to be Werewolf, just so you know. It's a social deduction game for those of you who've never played it. I've never played it, but I've seen it played numerous times. Last year, they actually they didn't. In the years past, I've seen people try to co-opt random sets of couches and chairs that are set up around the convention center for lounging, and basically turn that into their little area where they're going to play Werewolf. Whereas last year, we stayed downtown for the first time. We normally stay with some people that we know. And they actually just started taping off sections and just setting up 20 chairs in circles over and over and over again for the games of Werewolf that were going to be going on. And they were just back to back to back to back.
I think that was an actual event though.
I think with that level of preparation, it might have been.
Because they weren't just, hey, take a seat. They were like, this is for group 20, this is for group 10.
Yeah, it probably was then. Well, in years past, it's just been stumbling along and, hey, you guys need another person? Or, hey, guy, gal, whoever, come on. What are you playing? We'll explain later. Have a seat.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I've never personally played, been invited a couple times, but we were kind of on our way out. We just wanted to see what was actually going on. So you've got that. You've got people playing assorted instruments. I don't recall if the Klingon band has been there lately.
The pirate one has.
The pirate one is there. I don't know about the Klingons. The Klingon jail, I think, is gone.
Can we book the band from Moss Eisley?
Maybe. We really just need to get in and get with Figure and Dan. Because I think the others are all related to him somehow or another. I think I'm not up to speed on my Moss Eisley Cantina band knowledge, so I just know the main guys Figure and Dan. Fergan.
I know more about them when they were doing folk music before they made it to town. Never mind.
So there's live music going on. There's people doing juggling and throwing assorted things around.
Balloon art.
There's the balloon art. There's all kinds of people in costume.
The big thing that they build all weekend and knock it down.
Yes, there's what they call Card Holla, which is obviously a play on Valhalla with cards.
Holla!
Yeah. And they take donations of cards from people that don't care that their cards get destroyed. You'll see a whole lot of Magic cards. Usually a lot of Star Trek The Next Generation Decipher cards.
I've noticed
Legend of the Five Rings cards.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon cards.
Pokemon. And what people will do is
there's probably been Overpower cards.
Probably, although that's coming back. There's a whole group on Facebook that's rebuilding the game. And
Hey, don't call it a comeback.
I got to find my cards and sell them to them. So, because obviously no one around here plays anymore, and I never played the game right to begin with.
And obviously you're not going to donate them.
No. I donate to charities. I don't donate to card people. People come along and they build large, elaborate buildings, or just large buildings. They'll build. There's where this is set is right near the doorway that opens up to Georgia Street, and there's on the second level. There's a walkway over top of it that connects the top level of the front and the back.
So we're in an atrium.
Yeah, and so this walkway has glass rails and everything. Well, steel rails, but glass. So you can go up there and you can look straight down. And some of the people take advantage of that and build things that you can only really appreciate by going up top and looking down on to see. Like I've seen people have built like a big squid with the tentacles spreading out everywhere.
Yeah, that one was interesting.
They've spelled out like GenCon and the year and things like that, but you can't like from the ground you can't really see what it is. You have to go up and look down.
There was one year there was an ATA team,
Yeah.
and I could swear there was a Leaning Tower at Pisa one year.
Yeah, if we ever get our website up and running, I have pictures. I try to get pictures of this every year at a couple different points. So, all this builds towards Saturday night at roughly 10:30. Everyone that wants to participate gets together, and they get together to destroy the card buildings by throwing spare change through the buildings. And that opens up with people bid for the honor to throw the first coin. I've only been there early enough to see that happen once, and it eventually winds up with the two sides of the room pooling their resources. And at least the year I was there, the side that won, the guy who won gave a bunch of change to a kid and had him throw it through there.
So are you checking them one at a time? You had a whole handful of
I think you're supposed to just throw them one at a time, and they warn people don't throw them from the balcony. You know.
Sure, so I could lose an eye.
Yeah, and so the year that I watched it, and I might have the video somewhere, but I only have part of it. There was a structure that whoever built it, like I think they're an actual civil engineer or something, because once almost everything was destroyed, this one building was still standing, and people just kept throwing coins at it. You could see the coins go through, but it would only take out those cards, and like the building was incredibly solid. I think at some point someone might have even thrown a roll of coins through there. But
So
like,
every card was a load bearing wall, so it didn't matter if you lost one or two?
yeah, like nothing was bringing it down. Like someone would occasionally hit a corner on the outside, like a few cards would come down, but nothing. And ultimately it ended up with a guy who spear tackled the building.
And part of it still stood
And
after that.
even that, the part from below where he hit was still intact, even with that much damage done
Even with
to
a
it.
nice linebacker form tackle?
Yeah, and so like it was very well built. That's my point here. But yeah, so we'll definitely try to get some video of that. As far as the building of it, various points.
Well, I'm going to be staying downtown this year.
Yeah, so we might be able to get the video of the event itself. Hopefully, you know. So you have that. Like I mentioned, you got the games going on everywhere. In past years, there have been concerts. We went to go watch They Might Be Giants.
That was the 50th.
Yeah, that was the 50th, and that was at the time it was the Conseco Fieldhouse. I have no idea what they call it now.
Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Okay. Again, I'm up to speed on all my sports stuff.
I'm here for that.
Go team.
EA
So-
Sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I got the sports.
Okay.
I'll be the sports nerd in the group. How about that?
All right.
A whole series of videos on fantasy football and baseball coming to you.
I will definitely not fight you for that title.
Yeah, fair enough.
And we want videos on Quidditch as well.
Hey, you do not want to see me being a beater.
So,
Wait, what?
so anyway, there have been other concerts there in years past. The theater in the mall, the Circle Center Mall, is like 2 blocks away. In years past, they have run older movies there. Like one year, I watched the original Conan the Barbarian, the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger, not the one with Jason Momoa. There, and they've had,
That was before. I mean, if you think you can't understand Arnold Schwarzenegger now,
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. For those of you who've seen the movie, towards the end of the movie, Arnold's longest line, his prayer to Crom, they had it printed in the book that year for GenCon, and it was wildly wrong. Like, I can understand him. I know what he's saying there. And, like, whoever wrote that clearly could not. and it's like it's bad. I will have to dig that up at some point and see what they actually wrote. But like it's not even close. It's bad.
But did they have in there I'll be back?
No,
No.
because that one ends with him telling Crom, and if you don't listen to me, then and if you don't grant me this, then the hell with you.
Oh,
I'll do it myself.
Yeah, so that's Conan's theological outlook there. So anyway, they run Aliens and a number of other movies. Usually, it has to do with a game is somehow associated with it being out, or it's an anniversary for the movie. I think they had the Wrath of Khan there one year. That might have been the year they had the Star Trek Catan game. I know that Conan was tied to a game, if I'm recalling correctly. Aliens definitely was. But it's really hit and miss, and the problem is they don't advertise it. Like, you literally will only know if you go to their website and see what movies are playing that week, because it'll be like Wednesday and Thursday. And so it's real hit and miss.
Wait, didn't that happen last year with the Idol York for us?
Well,
we just randomly found out that the Idol York was playing the original Ghost in the Shell movie.
We did, but that was because of something like Fathom Events that runs older movies.
Yeah.
Because there were several other theaters around Indianapolis that were playing it. It wasn't because of GenCon. We just happened to luck into it.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Still was nice watching in a 72-foot IMAX theater.
Yeah, that's another fun thing about downtown Indianapolis. They have what's a true IMAX theater, which is something like an 80-foot tall screen. Not one of the ones. There's not very many of them. It's the only one in Indiana. One of the few in the country. And so they watched Ghost in the Shell, the anime movie from the late '90s in Japanese.
Yes. So
With subtitles.
that's what's up.
None of us speak Japanese.
You don't know. You never asked me.
Brad, do you speak Japanese?
No.
Okay.
I like sushi.
Well,
sushi can be good.
just don't get it at a gas station. Kind of sketchy.
That's wise, Bob. Wise.
So,
So that leads us right into food, or are we still on other things? Okay.
Well, I was trying to think if there was anything else.
There's the giant painting they do.
Yeah, every year there's people that get together and do a giant painting group effort.
Is it body art? Because I would make a giant canvas.
No. There's a large dance in years past. They're going to have it this year, but because again of current events, they're going to limit the number of people that are allowed inside. And that takes place at Union Station, Grand Central Station, Union Station. It's a building that looks kind of like a castle in downtown Indianapolis.
Yeah.
It's just to the south of the circle, isn't it?
Yes.
A couple blocks.
Yes, and if you know what you're doing, you can also get to that completely enclosed from the convention center. You will not be able to get back to the convention center, however, because one of the crucial sets of doors will be locked by that point. You will have to go overland in downtown Indianapolis at night, and I wish you the best of luck.
Yes.
It's not the worst place in the world, but it's not the best place either.
They also have the costume contest, which
yes.
I thoroughly enjoy going to.
Yes, the kind of like people wear costumes all throughout. Some of them do it working at booths. Not going to go into what they used to call some of those people because it's probably no longer considered kosher.
We don't care about that anyway. We support Chad and his desire to dress up like Esmeralda, the half-orc wizard princess. And if we love Chad, and if he wants to go to the costume contest and dress as Esmeralda, we fully support that.
Remind me of a dead taping. I actually have a story, not related to Chad, related to the costume.
Esmeralda? Oh.
But the pinnacle of the whole costume thing, the whole cosplay thing, is there's a costume contest every year on Saturday where people enter, and the bulk of them are what you would call the best of the best. You do occasionally get some that just totally phone it in, and I have no idea what they were hoping for. But, and I'm saying this is, to be clear, as someone that doesn't even phone it in. I don't do costumes. So more power to him to get up in front of 600 people in a crappy costume. But
Well,
Yeah.
you don't do costumes at GenCon.
so anyway, the costume contest, like every year, like totally worth it. Someone films it. I've never seen it wind up online though, so I have no idea if anyone actually puts it online, or if they're actually not filming it and purely using the camera for the larger screens for people that aren't right next to the stage, which to me would seem like a colossal waste, but
Yeah.
what do I know?
Well, surely there's footage somewhere, even if they're not putting it out there. Surely they're putting it out there somewhere.
I would think so, but like I said, I've never been able to find it.
Well, this year we'll axe somebody as per. For one of the tips I had earlier. If you
Yes.
don't know, you better axe somebody.
Yes. Also goes along with DM tip number 1, communication. It's an old one I remember.
Well, that
offhand.
goes with anything though. That's relationships. That's
Well,
communication is the key.
That's
To every
it's-
kids,
But
communicate with the people you love.
It's like whenever people say everything is relative. It is. It's all relative. Nothing exists without anything else. I mean, everything is defined by the definitions of other things. It's literally all relative. So anyway, now that we're back from our little trip down, whatever you want to call that.
We'll be back.
Yeah.